We're going to go to the book of Acts, chapter 9. And Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest, and desired of him letters to Damascus to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth, and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And he said, Who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And he, trembling and astonished, said, Lord, what wilt thou have me do? And the Lord said unto him, Arise, and go into the city, and it shall be told thee what thou must do. And the men journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. And Saul arose from the earth, and when his eyes were opened, he saw no man. But they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. And he was there 3 days without sight, and neither did eat nor drink. And there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias. And to him said the Lord in a vision, Ananias. And he said, Behold, I am here, Lord. And the Lord said unto him, Arise, and go into the street which is called Straight, and inquire in the house of Judas for one called Saul of Tarsus. For behold, he prayeth. And he seen in a vision a man named Ananias coming in, and put his hand on him, that he might receive his sight. Then Ananias answered, Lord, I have heard by many of this man how much evil he hath done to thy saints at Jerusalem. And here he hath authority from the chief priests to bind all that call on thy name. But the Lord said unto him, Go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me, to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel.
You know, if God would have put us in that situation, if he'd asked you to go pray for, what would you have done? I began to think about that because, how many times have I stood right here and felt like God wanted me somewhere else, but I stood over here because that's where I was comfortable. That ain't nothing compared to what God asked him to do. He had a really good change, in a man's thinking, a man's way of thinking, well, Lord, if I go to him, what's he going to do to me? I'll be honest with you, there's been people that I could have, talked to, but I was scared of what they would say. He wasn't scared of what he would say, he was scared of what he would do. And what really brought this message on is Nicky had talked to Sister Ruth there, I think it was last week, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And she told her a story about her mommy. She said that her mommy had... Do you remember what was wrong with her?
I think she had lung cancer. She was given like 5 days to live. And Sister Ruth said that there were... they wouldn't let anybody in the room. She had tubes coming out of blood in gallon jugs in the floor. They had pretty much given her just 5 days. And so they said that the people, I'm not sure who all it was, but some people come and prayed all night. They wouldn't let them in the room where she was, but they sat in the waiting room and prayed all night for her. And the next day, Brother Price got his wife ready, and they put her on a stretcher, and he had a nurse go with them to take her to an A.A. Allen meeting in a big tent. And they were there. I can't remember all the little details, but long story short, A.A. Allen recognized that she was there and said that God wanted to do something for her. And he told the crowd that was there, and according to her, there was like 1,000 people or more. There was a lot of people. And he said, if you believe in prayer, put one hand on the Bible and raise your other hand up to God and pray for this woman. And they said that they prayed. She got up off the stretcher and ran 5 times around the tent. Went back to work as a nurse the next day. Ended up having another child, and just God healed her. So.
And I'd begin to think about that. And there was, I'm not taking nothing from A.A. Allen, because he's done a lot of great miracles of God, and God's used him in many ways. But he asked that everybody else to raise their hands and put their hands on the Bible. Well, what if God was using one of them people in that crowd for her? That one person might not have felt like much. But what if it hadn't? What if he or she hadn't have? What would have happened there? Would it have changed the would it have changed the outcome of it? And I'd begin to think about that, and I think about me standing down there, and when we get out and do what God wants us to do, it changes the outcome of the service. I know Jennifer and them sometimes feel like they're standing up here singing to a brick wall, because nobody else, everybody's just standing there. And God might have called just one person to step out, because that one person can get the whole thing going. And it might not seem like much, but that's what it takes.
All right, now we're going to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 12. Okay. Whereas the body is one, and hath many members, and all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ. For by one Spirit are we all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, or have been all made to drink into one Spirit. For the body is not one member, but many. If the foot shall say, because I am not the hand, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? And if the ear shall say, because I am not the eye, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body were an eye, where were the hearing? If the whole were hearing, where were the smelling? But now hath God set the members, every one of them, in the body as it has pleased him. And if they were all one member, where were the body? But now are they many members, yet one body. And the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of thee, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. Nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be more feeble are necessary. And those members of the body which we think to be less honorable, upon these we bestow more abundant honor, and our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness. For our comely parts have no need, but God hath tempered the body together, having given more abundant honor to the part which lacked, that there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care one for another. And whether one member suffereth, all members suffer with it, or one member be honored, all members rejoice with it.
And I began to think about that there, and what I do don't just affect just me. It affects everybody. And maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I'd feel more comfortable staying over here and not getting up here and doing this, but I need what God planned. Because man's way of thinking, he'll put himself down low. And you feel like you're the smallest part of the. And I begin to think about that, but you take a car, you can take a little bitty fuse and it'll shut that whole car down. It cannot operate without that little fuse. That's a little part, but it's necessary.
Amen.
So no matter how little you think you are needed.
Important.
And you're just as important as the big part.
Amen.
Because the big part don't work right without the little part.
Amen.
But you know, I think about Sister Ruth's mama. You know, I mean, could you imagine seeing that? You know, I mean, come off of a stretcher with a bunch of hoses hanging out of them and then take off running. I mean, how do you explain that?
God.
In man's way of speaking, you can't explain that. Because that's impossible. But that's because somebody obeyed. You know, and it might have been several that obeyed. It might not have been one. It could have been a whole chain that God has dealt with. But that's how important your prayers is. You know, as they've talked all morning about prayers and stuff, and your prayer is important. And if somebody's come to your mind, then pray for them, because it sure ain't the devil. The devil ain't going to tell you to pray for nobody. And then if you come to, like me, and you think, well, what if I'm in myself? What's it going to hurt to pray for them? Extra prayer ain't going to hurt nobody. I think the point of the day is to realize how important you are. Everybody's got their own role. Just like it talks with the hand and the foot and the mouth, you know. And each one of them is just as important as the other. And to see God, you know, work the way He's worked. You know, to see Steve standing back there praising the Lord, I mean, that actually blesses me, you know, to see him do it, you know, because it's just, that's an answered prayer. You know, what would have happened if Amy hadn't have prayed? I mean, nobody knows, you know. I mean, that's how important prayer is. I know this message ain't been very long. None of mine is, I don't guess, but just remember today how important you are. No matter where you feel like you are, or no matter where you feel like you stand, just remember you are important. And you are needed. If we all find us a place to pray, we'll have an altar call.